Hello, dear heart, and welcome to the Sleepy Prophet. It means so much that you're here, truly. As you rest back now, perhaps wrapped in your coziest blanket, your limbs growing a little heavier, your breath beginning to soften, of everything you've carried. There is nothing you need to do, nothing to fix, just be here. In this quiet space where stillness waits to hold you. Tonight we won't just drift into sleep. We'll wander into that tender space between worlds, where ancient stories breathe softly, and the hush of night carries gentle wisdom. And while you may be lying there alone, you're actually part of something much bigger, a constellation of kindred dreamers stretching across oceans and mountains. Each of us arriving here in search of calm, connection, and a little bit of wonder. If this space brings you comfort, even just a moment's peace, I would be so honored if you gently tapped like or subscribed so that others may find their way here too. And if your heart feels called to share, I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from tonight. Reading your messages always feels like lighting a candle in the dark, a quiet reminder that we're all so beautifully linked. Now, my dear, take a deep, tender breath in through your nose and out slowly through your heart. Let's begin. Wherever you are tonight, whether curled beneath a heavy quilt or lying still with the hush of evening all around you, you're safe here and you are not alone. Tonight, we will float gently through ancient lands and whispered beliefs, stories carved into temple walls, sung by fires long gone cold, questions older than breath. What happens when we die? Where do we go? When we go? This isn't a tale of fear, but a lullaby of wonder. A slow sail through rivers of time, across cultures and continents, where every people, in their own sacred way, have tried to touch the mystery beyond life. Before we begin, a soft reminder. This journey is for comfort, not certainty, for dreaming, not doctrine. It's not medical advice, nor a final truth, just quiet musings for your weary mind. So, tell me, where are you listening from? Tonight, a snowy cabin in the mountains? A still apartment in the heart of the city? Or maybe a porch beneath the stars, where crickets hum like prayers? Wherever you are, you're welcome. Let us begin our gentle path with a civilization whose tombs stretch into eternity, where the afterlife is weighed like the dawn. Close your eyes now and drift with me to the golden sands of the Nile, where hearts are weighed against feathers and death is but the beginning of a longer voyage. She let the sands settle. Can you hear them? The hush of the desert, whispering like silk in the breeze. We are far from here now, further than the stars, somewhere deep in the folds of time, beside the slow, eternal flow of the Nile. Here in the land of papyrus and sun-baked stone, the people of Kemet, the ancient Egyptians, lived with death not as an end, but as a doorway, a sacred gate through which every soul must pass. They did not fear death as silence or absence. They spoke of it in poetry, painted it in color, wrapped it in gold. To the Egyptians, the world was alive with gods. Ra, who sailed his sunboat across the sky each day. Osiris, green-skinned. And Serene, who ruled the lands beyond the veil. And Mat, goddess of truth, of balance, of the cosmic order. She held in her hand a single feather, a feather so light, and yet so powerful. It was this feather that would determine a soul's fate. When a person died, their soul, called the Ka, left the body and began a journey, not into darkness, but into a shimmering realm, a place called Beduit, the Egyptian underworld. But this underworld was no dungeon of torment. It was a sacred road, winding through caverns of fireflies and lotus bloom, a mirror of the Nile where the soul must pass through trials and riddles. The journey began with remembrance. The dead were buried with their names carved in stone, with food, drink, and beloved belongings, not for show, but for use. For the Egyptians believed the soul would still hunger, would still thirst, would still long to wear linen and hear music in the afterlife. They were also buried with scrolls, pages from the Book of the Dead, not a book of doom, but of navigation, full of spells and poems, prayers whispered into the silence to guide the soul along the sacred path. Hail to you, Osiris, the soul might recite, Lord of eternity, judge of the dead, grant me safe passage and open the gate to the field of reeds. Ah yes, the field of reeds, a name that shivers like wind in tall grass. That was the heaven of the ancient Egyptian, not clouds or choirs, but a golden mirror of their world, where the Nile never flooded too high, where crops grew without toil, where families reunited and walked forever in the amber light of Ra. But to reach that paradise, the soul had to pass one final trial, the weighing of the heart. The heart, to the Egyptians, was the seat of the soul, more sacred than the brain, more honest than words. And so, in the Hall of Two Truths, the soul would stand before Osiris himself. Anubis, the jackal-headed guide, would place the heart upon a golden scale. On the other side, he would place the feather of Nat. If the heart was light, free of lies, greed, cruelty, then the soul would rise, gentle as mist, and walk into eternity. But if the heart was heavy, if it pulsed with hidden wrongs and unspoken sins, then it would tip the scale. And there, beside the scale, waited on it, a creature with the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the hind legs of a great hippopotamus, the devourer of souls. She would eat the unworthy heart whole, and the soul would be no more, not tormented, not punished, just forgotten, erased from the stars. But the Egyptians rarely spoke of this fate. They preferred to focus on the hope, the return. The soul that passed the weighing would join Osiris in the field of reeds. There they would pluck fruit from trees that never withered. They would drink from clear pools that never dried. They would farm, but the earth would always yield. Number, illness, no age, no sorrow, and so they prepared for it. Oh, how they prepared! The pharaohs built tombs like mountains. The pyramids, yes, tombs of kings, rising toward the stars like stairways of stone. Inside them, chambers of gold, jeweled sarcophagi, and ceilings painted with constellations to guide the soul's ascent. But even the poor, if they could, would save for a coffin, a charm, a single scarab amulet to place over their heart. A spell carved in green stone. Do not stand as witness against me. Do not betray me in the hall of judgment, even in death. They hoped to be heard. There were many souls, the Egyptians believed. Not just the Ka, the life force, but the Ba, the personality, often shown as a bird with a human head. And the Ak, the divine spark, the radiant one. The parts of the soul fluttered and danced, reunited only in the afterlife. And so funerals were not endings, they were beginnings. Priests in leopard skins would chant by flickering torchlight. Family members would weep, not for loss, but for the sacred weight of what was to come. And then the dead would be taken to the west, always to the west, where the sun set and where the journey of the soul began. Mummification was their art, a holy preservation, not of vanity, but of memory, of wholeness. For a soul to return, its body must be known, recognizable, waiting. And so they wrapped the body in linen, placed sacred symbols beneath each fold. tucked amulets between fingers, and painted the eyelids with sacred oils. Even in stillness, the dead were kept warm. Can you imagine? The love, the reverence, the quiet faith in something just beyond the veil. In tombs beneath the sand, paintings showed boats crossing star-strewn rivers, women offering lotus blossoms, the soul at peace in the glow of Rie. To die then was to transform, to pass from shadow into story, from flesh into light. And even now, thousands of years later, their beliefs echo in museums, in bedtime tales, in the hush of candles lit for those we love. The Egyptians believed the dead watched over the living, that the soul could whisper through dreams, protect a child from fever, or send a soft breeze to ease a grieving heart. And so, if you ever feel a sudden hush in a golden room, a gentle presence at your side, it may be just that a soul returned from the west, watching you, loving you still. And now the sand shifts once more. The Nile flows on. The soul, having passed the test, walks into the golden field. And we drift onward. Our next steps will take us into the rhythm of another belief, one where death is not the end, but a beginning again and again. Let us now leave the Nile behind and follow the echoing bells of another land, where incense curls through temples and the soul is born once more into the long dance of time. We travel now to the heart of Hinduism, where the soul is a traveler and death is but a door into another dawn. Close your eyes, dear listener, and imagine a land warmed by the scent of sandalwood and jasmine, where riverbanks shimmer beneath sacred trees and temple bells chime like distant lullabies. We are now in Bharat, ancient India, a place where life and death are woven like silk threads, inseparable, infinite. In Hinduism, death is not a punctuation mark. It is not an end nor even a pause. It is simply a turning of the wheel of samsara. Samsara, the word flows like a stream over smooth stones. It is the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, a rhythm that moves through all things, a whisper in the leaves, a beat in the heart, a flicker in the flame. You see, in Hindu belief, you are not your body. You are not even your thoughts. You are the Atman, the soul, the spark, the eternal self, ageless, deathless, unbreakable like the diamond hidden in the folds of cloth. And this Atman, it does not die when the body dies. No, it journeys onward into another life and another, each one shaped by the great law of karma. Ah, karma, so often whispered about, so rarely understood in its depth. Karma is not punishment. It is not revenge. It is balance. It is memory, not of the mind, but of the soul. Every action, every thought, every kindness, every cruelty plants a seed. And in time, each seed blooms in this life or in another. If you give freely, you may receive freely. If you hurt another, you may feel that pain returned. Not as vengeance, but as a lesson. A way for the soul to learn and refine like golden fire again and again. And so, when a person dies, their soul gathers all that has been their choices, their longings, their fears and hopes, and prepares for what comes next. If the soul is burdened with unresolved karma, it is drawn back into a new body, a new life shaped by the seeds it has sown. This is rebirth, not random, not cruel, but guided. Like a river returning to the sea, then rising again as rain. The soul may return as a prince or a pauper, a mother, a monk, a bird, or a tree. For in the vastness of time, all forms are temporary. All lives are classrooms, but the goal is not to be reborn forever. The goal is moksha, liberation, Moksha is not a place. It is not a heaven. It is the end of longing. The reunion with the divine source. With Brahman, the great unchanging reality that lies behind all things. To reach moksha is to step off the wheel, to awaken from the dream, to dissolve the illusion of separateness and become the light itself. And how does one reach such a state? There are many paths. Some seek truth through knowledge, jnana yoga, studying scriptures, contemplating the nature of the self. Others walk the path of devotion, bhakti yoga, singing to the gods with tears in their eyes, loving Krishna or Shiva or Durga with all their being. Some act in service, karma yoga, offering every deed, every task as a gift to the divine, without expectation. And some turn inward, Raja Yoga, through meditation, silence, and breath, seeking stillness beyond all form. No path is greater, each one leads slowly, gently to the same truth. But what you might wonder, does death itself look like? In Hindu tradition, when a person dies, their body is returned to the elements: fire, water, air, earth, and space. The body is usually cremated, the flames releasing the soul as chants from the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads fill the air like mantras of light. The ashes may be scattered in sacred rivers, especially the Ganges, whose waters are believed to carry the soul onward with grace. There is mourning, yes, but it is woven with reverence, with understanding. The family lights a small oil lamp near the departed one's photograph. They place flowers and fruit nearby. For 13 days, prayers are offered, not just for peace, but for release, because the soul may linger, confused or uncertain, hovering near the ones it loved. And so the living guide this soul gently. They speak to it. They say, "Go in peace, we will be well, you are free now." In some regions, the Garuda Purana is read aloud, a sacred scripture that maps the soul's journey through realms of light and shadow. It is said the soul may pass through Yamaloka, the world of Yama, the god of death. There it reviews its deeds, not with punishment, but with clarity. And then it returns, or if it is ready, it ascends. There are many heavens in Hindu thought, realms of bliss, of music, of endless delight. Swarga, where Indra rules. Vaikuntha, where Vishnu rests upon the cosmic serpent. Kailasa, where Shiva dances in eternal stillness. But even these heavens are not forever, they are sweet dreams. And when the karma is spent, the soul is born again. Only moksha is forever. Only liberation brings the true end to wandering. And yet, to a Hindu sage, even death and rebirth are not to be feared. They are embraced like waves in the ocean, like breath, like sleep. The soul is never harmed. Na hanya hanyamain. Shariah, the soul is not slain, even when the body is slain. These are the words of the Gita, spoken by Krishna to Arjuna as battle loomed and fear pressed in. "You were never born," Krishna whispered, "and you will never die. You're eternal, timeless, and infinite." And so, in the hush of a funeral pyre, in the petals dropped upon a sacred river, in the silence of meditation beneath a Bodhi tree, death becomes a quiet return, a homecoming, a step closer to the light. And if you sit very still, if you breathe softly like a sleeping child, you may hear the echo of the Vedas, ancient chants humming through the air. Lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. And so the wheel turns once more. Another life, another lesson, another chance to love and lose and love. Again, now, my dear traveler, let the incense fade. Let the bell's ring dissolve into silence. We will journey next to a path both familiar and quiet, a path that begins with suffering and ends in perfect stillness. Follow me now into the calm, serene heart of Buddhism, where the soul is not clung to, where silence becomes freedom, and even death is just another breath. Can you hear it? That faint chime, like the ringing of a prayer bowl at dawn. We step now into a quieter place. The air is cool, and still, the world feels lighter here, like a feather balanced upon time. We are in the presence of Buddhism, not a belief in gods or heavens, but a path, a way, a middle road, between longing and loss, between clinging and letting go. It began over 2,500 years ago, beneath a fig tree in the soft folds of northern India. There sat a man, Siddhartha Gautama, a prince who left behind palaces and silks, who gave up gold for the touch of earth, who wished not for riches, but for understanding. He meditated for many days, silent, still unmoved by hunger or fear, until at last clarity came, a deep seeing. He became the Buddha, the awakened one. What he saw was suffering, that all life in some way holds pain, that to be born is to feel longing, to lose, to hunger, to age, to part. But he also saw the way out. He called it nirvana, not a place, but a state, the extinguishing of desire, the end of clinging, a peace so deep it cannot be spoken, only known. And what then happens when we die? In Buddhism, death is no enemy. It is not feared. It is not punished. It is not even personal. Because the self that we think we are is not what it seems. The Buddha taught anatta, no self, that there is no fixed soul, no eternal identity, but rather a flowing, a river of thoughts, actions, sensations, causes and effects. You are like a candle's flame, passed from one wick to another, similar but never the same. So when the body dies, what moves on is soul in the traditional sense, but a stream of consciousness shaped by karma. Yes, karma again, but here it is subtler, gentler. Less a ledger, more a wind, a quiet ripple in the stillness of the world. If you live with greed, hatred, or delusion, those patterns carry forward. But if you live with compassion, wisdom, and mindfulness, you create conditions for peace in this life or the next. Buddhism teaches rebirth, but not reincarnation as an unchanging self. Rather, a continuation, like music echoing through an empty room. Each life, each form, each moment, new yet shaped by the old. Imagine a monk seated in silence. He does not ask where he will go when he dies. He asks only how to awaken. No, how to be present, how to be kind, and when death comes. He does not flee, he breathes. He watches, he lets go. In many traditions, it is said the dying mind becomes clear, that at the moment of death, consciousness expands, and the veils fall away. Some schools of Buddhism, especially Tibetan, describe a sacred in-between state called the bardo. The bardo, a dreamy, shifting space between one life and the next. Here, the soul, or rather the stream of mind, experiences visions, sounds, lights, memories, reflections of its own karma. Some see peaceful deities, others see wrathful ones. But these too are not outside us. They are our own mind revealed. In the bardo, one can find liberation, or be drawn again into rebirth. It is a fragile, luminous place like walking through mist with stars in your hands. In Tibetan rituals, monks chant prayers for the dying and the dead, not to control their fate, but to guide their journey. They read aloud from the bardo. Thoughtful, The Tibetan Book of the Dead, a gentle instruction manual for the soul in transition. "O nobly born," the text says, "you are now experiencing the clear light of pure reality. Recognize it, abide in it. If one recognizes the light, they may awaken completely. They may achieve nirvana and be free from all rebirth. But even if they do not, there is no punishment, only return. Another chance, another moment to try again. And what are those left behind?" In Buddhist cultures, funerals are not only about grief. They are about support. Loved ones offer chants, candles, and alms to monks. They dedicate the merit of good deeds to the departed in hopes of easing their journey. White is worn, not black, to symbolize purity, not sorrow. Incense drifts. Like prayers, lotus flowers are placed upon still waters. And always there is silence. Because in silence, we begin to understand that life is like a breath rising, falling, rising again. The Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths. That life includes suffering. That suffering has a cause, desire, craving, ignorance. That it can end, and that there is a path to its ending. That path is the Eightfold Way. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Walk it gently. Walk it with eyes open. And you will not fear death, for death is just another step on the path. Some Buddhists believe that those who reach deep states of meditation can choose their next rebirth, not for pleasure, but to return and help others. These are the Bodhisattvas, beings who postpone nirvana to guide us all. Imagine that. Choosing to be born again, not to escape, but to serve. To teach, to love. And for those rare souls who reach enlightenment in this life, death becomes a final breath, not falling, but rising, not ending, but dissolving into clarity. In Zen, it is said that before dying, a master may write a poem, just a few words, nothing fancy. Just a mirror of the moment, like this one. I came from brilliance. I return to brilliance. The dew evaporates, and all that remains is morning. So sleep now, gentle listener. And if your mind still wanders, let it be the wind in the pines. Let it be the bell after it rings. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to fear. Just this moment, just this breath. And when we let go, when we truly let go, that is when we awaken. Let us now walk softly to the next place, a land of sacred books and holy promises, where eternity is shaped by love and by faith. Come with me into the warm, waiting light of Christianity, where death is not the end, but the beginning of a great reunion, where light breaks through the tomb, and love endures beyond the veil. The stars are quiet tonight. A hush spreads across the hills, as if the earth itself is listening, waiting, breathing. And in the silence, a soft voice begins to speak, not from the sky, not from a mountaintop, but from a small place inside the heart, a place called faith. Welcome to the sacred path of Christianity, a story told in whispers, and in songs, and candlelight, and cathedral bells, in the hush of prayer and the hush of grief. Here, death is not feared, because death is not the end. Christianity begins not with endings, but with love. A love so vast, so luminous, that it is said to have created the world itself, light from darkness, life from void, breath from dust. And into that breath, God placed something eternal. A soul. You were made in the image of the divine. This is the first promise of Christianity, that every person is known and loved and called by name. The second promise is that, even in suffering, you are not alone. For Christians believe in a God who walked among us in sandals and laughter and tears. Jesus of Nazareth, teacher, healer, friend of the outcast, comforter of the weary. He spoke of a kingdom not built with stone, but with mercy. He lifted the broken. He stilled the storm. And when the time came, he faced death not as a warrior, but as a lamb. The cross, a shape feared by many, in this story becomes a door. For Christians believe that through his death, Jesus took on the weight of sorrow, of every grief, every sin, every silent ache in every heart, and through love, transformed it. But the story does not end on the cross. For on the third day, they say the tomb was empty. The stone was rolled away. The light returned. He rose. And with that rising came the promise that death, too, could be undone. I am the resurrection and the life, he said. Whoever believes in me shall not perish, but have eternal life. And so Christians believe that beyond this life, there is another, not a ghostly drift through clouds, but a homecoming, a place called heaven. Imagine it, if you wish, a garden where every wound is healed, a banquet where every seat is filled, a reunion so complete that even time itself sits down to rest. In heaven there is no pain, no sorrow, no fear, only peace, only love. Not all Christians imagine it the same way. Some see golden streets and gates of pearl. Others see green fields, familiar voices, a great choir of angels. But what they agree on is that heaven is the presence of God, to be with God, to be known and to know fully and without veil. Some describe it as light, not bright, but warm, a love so vast it sings. Others describe it as rest, the soul tired from its journey, finally laying down. And yet, not all souls walk this path. Christian teachings also speak of judgment, a time when each heart is laid bare, when all is revealed in the light of truth, not to condemn, but to weigh. And those who turn away from love, who cling to hatred, cruelty, or pride, they may find themselves separated from that light. Some traditions call this place hell, a state of sorrow, of distance from God. But even here, interpretations vary. To some, hell is fire. To others, it is cold. To some, it is a silence too deep to bear. But many Christian mystics speak not of punishment, but of loss, not inflicted, but chosen, as if the soul, by refusing love, shuts its own door. Still, many believe that God's mercy is endless, that even in the farthest corner, a whisper of grace might reach, that no soul is beyond redemption, that even the lost may be found in one of those who have died. In many Christian homes, the departed are not forgotten. They are spoken of with reverence, remembered in photographs and prayers and dreams. Some believe the saints, the holy ones, watch over the living, interceding like gentle hands reaching across the veil. Candles are lit, names are read aloud, not to summon, but to honor. And in churches, there are hymns, soft, sweet, aching with hope. I once was lost, but now am found. When we all get to heaven, it is well with my soul. Funerals in the Christian tradition are a mix of mourning and joy. Black clothing, yes, but also lily. Symbols of resurrection. A coffin draped in white as the choir sings of mourning. And even as tears fall, there is a quiet confidence that this is not goodbye, only see you soon, that the soul now walks in light. In Catholicism, there is also the belief in purgatory, a place of cleansing where the soul is purified of lingering burdens before entering heaven. Not a punishment, but a mercy, like a healing fire burning away regret, leaving only the gold beneath. Prayers are said for those in purgatory, mass is offered. The living helping the dead, a bridge of love that never breaks. And among Eastern Orthodox Christians, death is not seen as an isolated event, but part of a grand mystery, the passage into eternity, where the soul continues to grow. They speak of the resurrection of the body, not just the soul rising, but all creation being restored, made new again in the fullness of time. Behold, I make all things new, says the voice in Revelation. A new heaven, a new earth where lion and lamb lie down together, where every tear is wiped away. Can you imagine it? The great restoration, not escape, but fulfillment. Not floating in the clouds, but walking in a garden, hand in hand with those you've missed, singing a song older than the stars. This is the dream that lingers in the heart of Christianity. That love is stronger than death. That life is eternal, not because we earn it, but because it is given freely, abundantly, with grace. And if you sit very still, you might hear it even now. A quiet invitation, a knock at the door of the soul, not a demand, but a welcome. Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And so, dear dreamer, as you rest tonight beneath blankets and stars, know this: you are seen. You are cherished. You are never alone. Even in the night, there is a light that keeps watch. And beyond this world, there is home. Now let us walk softly again, down from the hill, past the cross, past the empty tomb. Let us listen for a new call, a different echo. From a land where the crescent moon rises and the soul waits in a place between worlds, we journey next into the sacred stillness of Islam, where the soul rests in waiting, where gardens bloom beneath the throne of mercy, and every breath returns to the one. The night is deep now, soft as velvet. The stars above you shimmer like delicate calligraphy, each one a letter. In a prayer written across the sky, let your breath soften. Let the world grow quiet. We are traveling now to lands touched by minarets and moonlight, to the ancient rhythm of Islam. Here, in the sacred words of the Quran, life is a trust, a gift, a journey from the breath of God, back into his embrace. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. We belong to God, and to him we return. It is not said in sorrow alone, but in awe, in remembrance. For the soul in Islam is not a fleeting spark. It is called the nafs, a creation of purpose and potential carried within the clay of the human body. And death is not an end, but a return. A return to the one who formed you in the womb, who wrote your story in the unseen, who knows the secrets of every breath you've ever taken. When a soul departs the body, it enters a realm known as Barzakh, a space between worlds. Not quite this life, not yet the next. A veil, a pause, a waiting place. In Barzakh, the soul rests. It remembers, it reflects. Those who lived with kindness, faith, and mercy feel peace in their rest. Their grave is spacious and filled with light. It is said they hear the whispers of paradise, like a distant lullaby. But those who lived in cruelty, deceit, or disbelief may find their rest uneasy. The grave tightens. The soul stirs in, longing or regret. Still, it is not a punishment alone. It is a time of truth, a time of waiting. For all souls await the day of judgment, a day known only to God. On that day, it is said the trumpet will sound. The skies will open. The earth will tremble. And all will rise. The dead will be brought forth. The bodies made new. Every soul will stand before God, Allah, the most compassionate, the most just, and in that moment, nothing will be hidden. The hands will speak of what they touched. The feet will tell where they walked. The tongue will tell no lies. Each soul will receive a book, a record of their life. If it is placed in the right hand, there is joy. If in the left, a tremble of fear. But even then, even in judgment, there is hope, because Allah is a Rahman, a Rahim, the most merciful, the most compassionate. It is said that his mercy surpasses his wrath, that even if a soul has done wrong, repentance opens a door. Do not despair of the mercy of Allah, says the Quran. Indeed, he forgives all sins. And for those whose scales are heavy with good, for those who believed, who were patient, who gave in secret, there is a reward beyond imagining. Jannah, paradise. Not an abstract heaven, but a garden. The Quran speaks of it often, in verses soft as rain, rivers of milk and honey, shade beneath lotus and cedar trees, fruits within reach. Palaces made of light, but more than this, peace, no more pain, no more grief, only safety, only joy. The people of paradise greet each other with salam, peace. Their hearts hold no resentment, no sorrow touches them, and at the highest level of Jannah is nearness to God, a closeness so complete, so radiant, that it fills every longing you never knew you had. For some, this is the ultimate reward, not the gardens, not the rivers, but to see the face of the one they worshipped unseen. And what of those who are lost? Islam also speaks of Jahannam, hell, a place of fire, of regret, of distance from God. But even here, the doors are not locked forever. Many scholars and mystics believe that hell is not eternal for all, that its purpose is purification, not vengeance. That after the lessons are learned, after the soul is cleansed, mercy may reach even here, because God is not bound by time, and mercy is infinite. Still, Muslims pray not to enter Jahannam. They ask for forgiveness daily. They give in charity. They fast. They forgive. They remember. And when death draws near, there are rituals, gentle and dignified. The dying are laid on their right side, facing Mecca. The Shahada is whispered to them. La ilaha illa Allah, Muhammadur Rasul Allah. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is his messenger. After death, the body is washed with fragrant water. It is wrapped in simple white cloth. The kafan, 3 pieces for men, 5 for women. There is no jewelry, no embalming, no display, just purity. Just stillness. The funeral prayer, Salat al-Janazah, is offered in congregation. There are no eulogies, no songs. Only a collective plea for mercy. Oh Allah, forgive them. Make their grave wide and filled with light. Grant them a place in paradise. Then the body is buried, gently, respectfully, in the earth from which it came. Graves are often unmarked or simple, for in Islam the focus is not on the body, but the soul's journey. Family and friends may recite from the Quran. They may gather for 3 days, 40 days, sometimes a year later, not to mourn endlessly, but to remember, to offer prayers, to give charity in the name of the departed, to do good so the reward reaches the one who's gone, because in Islam, death is not disconnection. The living and the dead are still bound by love, by prayer, by mercy. Some believe the souls of the righteous visit in dreams, that they offer comfort, that they ask for forgiveness or give it. And on the day of judgment, families may be reunited, hands held across eternity. Children may intercede for parents. Friends may speak on behalf of friends. No soul stands alone. And so Muslims live with an awareness of the afterlife, not in fear, but in reverence. They speak often of akhirah, the hereafter. It shapes their choices, guides their hearts, softens their words, and at night, when the world is quiet, many whisper the final verses before sleep. In your name, O Allah, I die and I live. And if they do not wake, they trust that they will wake in a better world. So sleep now, gentle soul. Let your breath fall into the rhythm of remembrance. Know that beyond this life, there is another, and beyond sorrow, there is mercy. For to God we belong, and to God we return. Now come with me once more to a place older than kingdoms, where sacred books speak of ancestors and the soul waits in a quiet shadowed place. Let us drift into the deep and ancient soul of Judaism, where memory is sacred, where the soul returns to its source, and even the dust holds holy dreams. The world is quiet now. The stars have drawn close, like pearls strung on an invisible thread, dangling gently above the hush of the earth. Let your breath slow. Let your spirit soften. We are entering a faith born beneath desert skies, where fire and silence met on mountaintops, and where the soul is cherished as a divine spark. We walk now into the warm, enduring rhythm of Judaism. It is not a single book or belief, but a living conversation, a dialogue across centuries, between ancestors and descendants, between the people and their God, between heaven and earth. In Judaism, death is not a stranger, nor is it the enemy. It is a transition, a sacred crossing, the closing of one chapter and the quiet opening of another. The soul called the neshama is not born of flesh. It is divine breath, a sliver of God's own light, placed gently within a human being. When a person is born, it is said, God sends an angel to whisper wisdom into their ear. And when they die, that same angel welcomes them home. The dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Ecclesiastes 12:7, there is peace in this, a sense of return, a coming full circle. But Jewish thought is not uniform. It is a tapestry, rich with threads of questioning. You see, in Judaism, questions are holy. And so, ideas about what happens after death are not fixed in one direction, but flow like a river with many branches. Some texts speak of Sheol, an ancient, shadowed place beneath the earth. Not hell, not punishment, but a realm of stillness where the dead rest in silence, awaiting something more. Others speak of Olam Haba, the world to come, a world restored, renewed, a time of peace where justice reigns and the soul dwells in light. Some envision the resurrection of the dead, Techiyat Hamaidim, when at the end of days, bodies and souls will reunite, and all will stand again before God. Others lean toward a gentler view, that the soul ascends little by little through layers of divine light, until it returns to its source, not with fear, but with longing. The soul of man is the lamp of God, says the book of Proverbs. And like all flames, it seeks to rise. But before that rising, there is mourning. And mourning in Judaism is not hidden. It is honored. When a loved one dies, the community gathers quickly. The body is not left alone. It is watched over with love in a practice called Shemira, a vigil of presence, as psalms are whispered gently through the night. The body is washed in silence. Dressed in simple white linen, the Takrakim, for in death all are equal. Kings and beggars alike are buried without gold or adornment. And then the burial, as soon as possible. For in Jewish tradition, the body is sacred, even in death. It is returned swiftly to the earth as it was taken swiftly from it. From dust you came, and to dust you shall return. At the graveside, mourners tear a small piece of cloth, the karaya, symbolizing the tear in the heart. They recite the Kaddish, not a prayer about death, but one that praises God's greatness, even in grief. It is a bold kind of faith to bless the name of God when your heart is breaking. And yet, that is Judaism. A faith that wrestles, that mourns and sings at once. After the burial, the family enters Shiva, 7 days of mourning. They sit low to the ground, mirrors are covered, shoes are removed. There is no pretending, no rushing. Grief is given space. And friends come not to offer answers, but to sit, to be present, to listen. For even in sorrow, community holds you. Like a warm shawl after Shiva, mourning continues. 30 days, then a full year for parents. At each stage, rituals shift. Prayers are said, candles are lit, and always, the memory is kept alive. Every year on the anniversary of a death, Jews mark the Yahrzeit. A flame is kindled, the soul is remembered. Because in Judaism, the dead are not gone. They are present in memory and prayer and the stories told around dinner tables and holidays. And their merit, their zakat, can still bring blessing to the world. It is believed that even after death, a soul continues its journey. In mystical Judaism, Kabbalah, the soul may pass through stages of purification. Some speak of Gehinnom, a spiritual realm where the soul reflects on its life and sheds the dust it has gathered. Not a place of torment, but of cleansing. It is said that most souls remain there for no more than 11 months. And so the Kaddish is recited for 11 months only, to show mercy, to hope the soul needs no longer. After this, the soul may rise to Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, not the Garden of Adam and Eve, but a celestial garden. A place of light where souls bask in the presence of the Shekinah, the feminine, indwelling presence of God. Is not a place of golden streets, but of peace, of deep, shimmering rest. And perhaps in that garden, each soul finds its unique song, its reason for being, its eternal harmony. Some believe the righteous may return again through Gilgal, the cycle of soul transmigration. Not reincarnation as punishment, but as a continuation. A soul completing what was unfinished, returning to repair what was broken, to bring healing, tikkun olam, to the world and to itself. But not all Jews believe in the afterlife. In literal terms, for many it is enough to say that goodness matters, that how we live leaves ripples, that our love, our kindness, our words, they echo long after we're gone. And maybe that is eternity. Maybe the soul lives on in the hearts it touched, in the justice it sought, in the stories whispered to grandchildren before bed. Judaism does not demand certainty. It allows for wonder, for not knowing. Even the great sages disagreed. Some argued for resurrection, others for immortality of the soul, some for both. But all agreed that life is precious, that this world matters, and that death is not the end of the covenant. The Sabbath prayer says, "A tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all who cling to it are blessed." The Torah is that tree, and so is the soul, a tree reaching through time, through loss, through death, into light. So rest now, sweet soul. Let your breath settle like dust upon an ancient scroll. Know that you are remembered, that your life matters, that your soul, your neshama, is cherished by the one who breathed it into being. And when your time comes, you will be gathered in, gently, lovingly, into a garden older than memory, And now let us walk once more across the sands of time to the windswept plains of Africa, where drums echo and ancestors watch from behind the veil. We journey next into the wisdom and wonder of African traditional beliefs, where the breath of the ancestors lingers in the leaves, where the soul returns to the village behind the veil, and the earth listens as the sky remembers. The wind is warm tonight, like breath upon the skin. You can almost hear it, the soft rustle of branches, the beat of a distant drum, the hush of feet moving through sacred grass. We are traveling now to a place older than kings, older than written words, a place where the world is alive with spirit. This is the world of African traditional religions, not one single belief, but thousands of shimmering threads woven from the hearts of many peoples and lands. From the Ashanti in Ghana to the Yoruba of Nigeria, the Zulu of South Africa, the Dinka of Sudan, the Dogon, the Igbo, the Shona, the Bantu. Each holds its own melody, but they share a common hum. The hum of ancestry, of continuity, of life that never truly ends. You see, in many African traditions, there is no sharp line between life and death. The living and the dead are not strangers. They walk beside each other, whispering, watching, woven together like root and tree. When a person dies, they do not vanish. They are not gone. They become ancestor, elders of the spirit, the ones who watch over the village from behind the thin veil. They are not distant. They are not silent. They speak in dreams. They guide the rain. They help in birth and healing, in planting and in prayer. To honor them is not worship. It is remembrance. It is respect. It is family. And so when someone passes on, there is grief. Yes. But there is also ceremony, drumming, dancing, tears, and song. Because a transition is taking place. The soul, or chi, or ka, or nyama, depending on the culture, is moving from the world of the seen to the world of the unseen. Among the Yoruba, the soul is made of different parts. One part stays with the body, another returns to the heavens. Another may come again through a child, a relative, a dream. Among the Zulu, the dead are called Amagbozi, ancestral spirits who walk alongside the living. Among the Akan, death is a return. The soul journeys to Azamando, the ancestral world, where it finds its kin, where it continues to live in. Spirit, until it is ready to be reborn. This realm is not far, not up in the clouds, not down in the earth. It is here, around us, just beyond the veil. And that veil is thin. That is why rituals are so important. When someone dies, the body is washed, anointed, wrapped. Personal objects may be buried with them. A favorite pipe, a drum, a calabash, beads, or cloth. Gifts for the journey. Reminders of who they were. There are funeral dances, not to celebrate the loss, but to honor the soul's transformation. In some communities, the ceremony can last days. 7, 9, even 13 nights. There is drumming, offerings of kola nut or palm wine, praise songs, and libations poured upon the earth. Water for the ancestors. A drink for the spirit. A prayer made liquid. It is believed that if the soul is honored properly, it will be pleased, and it will protect the family. But if the rites are neglected, the spirit may become restless, a wandering one, stirring trouble until it is seen. So the rituals are not just tradition, they are connection. They keep the world in balance. In African cosmology, there is no division between the sacred and the ordinary. Every tree is sacred, every river listens, every breath belongs to spirit. And death is not a break in the story, it is a chapter turn. one that leads not to forgetting, but to greater memory. You live, then you die, then you become ancestor. Then, perhaps you are born again. This cycle is gentle. It is not harsh or judgmental. It is not about punishment or reward. It is about harmony. The concept of Ubuntu, so often spoken, means I am because we are. And that includes the ancestors, the unborn, the ones yet to come. In some traditions, names are passed down. Children are named after the recently departed with hope that their spirit will return. The child might carry their mannerisms, their laugh, their gift for story or song. And so the soul is never lost, only carried. Among the Dogon of Mali, there is deep knowledge of the stars. They speak of the soul's journey among celestial paths, returning to the Sirius star, a place of origin, a cosmic home. Among the Igbo, the soul returns to Ayla, the Earth Mother, to be judged by the ancestors. But again, this judgment is not terror, it is restoration. A question: did you live well? Did you honor your people? Did you leave the world better than you found it? And if you did, you are remembered. Your name is called at family gatherings. Food is set aside for you. Your spirit is invoked in times of hardship and hope. You are never alone. Among the Shona, the spirit of the deceased may be called back in a ritual called Kurova Guva to fully join the realm of ancestors. A time of reconciliation, a celebration, a welcoming home. Even in diaspora, across oceans, across centuries, these beliefs have endured. In Hoodoo, Voodoo, Santeria, Candomblé, you still find echoes of Africa's spiritual wisdom. Ancestor, altars, sacred rhythms, offerings and prayers, candles and names whispered to the wind. Because the soul's path is not broken by distance. And death is not exile. It is return. Return to the circle. Return to the story. Return to the source. So rest now, gentle listener. Let the drums fade into silence. Let the ancestors gather near. They are not here to frighten. They are here to bless, to remind you that you are part of a great and endless lineage, the living, the dead, the yet to be born. And when your time comes, you too will cross softly into the next village, welcomed with dance, with song, with memory. You'll become a name spoken at night, a whisper in dreams. A shade beneath the baobab tree, you will not be lost. You will be home, and now let us walk slowly once more into the forests of India, where the cycle of birth and rebirth dances. Like firelight, and the soul seeks union with the infinite. Let us journey into the sacred flame of Hinduism, where the soul sheds its body like a garment, where death is but a doorway, and the Atman travels onward toward the infinite light. The stars bloom slowly over the sleeping earth, like jasmine flowers opening to the dark. Soft and luminous, they lead us eastward, to the sacred soil of India, where gods walk among the trees, and time is not a straight line, but a river flowing in circles. In Hinduism, death is not a full stop. It is a pause, a breath, a gentle unfolding into the next moment of forever. The soul, called the Atman, is eternal, not born, not destroyed, simply passing through form after form, like a single flame lighting many lamps. As a man casts off worn-out garments and puts on new ones, so does the soul cast off a worn-out body and enter into others that are new. Bhagavad Gita 2:22, let that truth settle around you. Like silk, your body is not your limit. It is your vessel, temporary, beautiful, sacred, but not who you truly are. Who you are is light, unending, unstruck, untouched by death. In the Hindu understanding of existence, all beings are caught in samsara, the great wheel of birth, death, and rebirth. This cycle is not punishment, it is opportunity, a school of the soul. Each life offers lessons, each death a reset, each moment a step toward awakening. Where you are born, how you live, what you carry from one life to the next, is shaped by karma, not judgment, but law. Not reward and punishment, but cause and effect. Every act, every thought, every breath weaves the tapestry of your future. Karma is not fate. It is choice echoing through time. And so death becomes a passage, a surrender. The soul leaves one body and prepares for the next. But before that journey begins, there is reverence. In Hindu tradition, the moment of death is sacred. The body is not touched until the breath has fully left, then it is washed gently by family, anointed with oils, wrapped in fresh cloth, often white. The great syllable Om may be chanted, inviting peace, guiding the departing soul. A lamp is lit near the head. Tulsi leaves or Ganga water may be placed in the mouth to purify and bless. The body is carried not in silence, but in song. The sacred name of Ram or Shiva whispered again and again, so the soul remembers who it is and where it is going. Then comes the cremation, a fire lit by the eldest son or closest kin, a flame that consumes not with fear, but with love. Fire in Hinduism is sacred. It transforms. It lifts the soul upward, cleansing all that is. Ready to be released, ashes are later scattered in a river, most often the Ganges, but any living water will do. It is said that water carries the soul onward gently, like a boat made of prayers. After death, the soul enters a subtle world called Antarloka or Pretaloka, a place between lifetimes. Here, the soul reflects, learns, rests. There are ceremonies, the Shraddha rituals, performed by the living to nourish the journey of the dead. Rice balls and sesame seeds are offered, prayers said. A priest may guide the rites, but always it is love that carries them. These rituals are not meant to bind the soul, but to bless it, to help it let go of attachment and move freely onward. Some souls may reach Pitraloka, the realm of the ancestors, where they dwell in light, watching over the living with kindness. Others may return, reincarnated in new forms shaped by past karma, ready for new lessons. But some souls break free. They reach moksha, liberation, the end of the wheel. Moksha is not heaven, but union. The drop returning to the ocean. The soul merging with Brahman, the infinite, formless, eternal divine. Not becoming nothing, but becoming everything. This is the highest goal in Hindu thought. Not to live forever, but to awaken fully. To see past the illusions of this world called Maya and realize that all is one. And yet, no two people walk the same path. Some reach moksha through wisdom, jnana yoga by contemplating the nature of the self, some through love, bhakti yoga by surrendering to the divine, through devotion to Krishna, to Rama, to Devi, some through action, karma yoga by serving without attachment, offering all deeds to God, and some through deep inner stillness, raja yoga by meditating until the soul remembers its true form. Whichever path is chosen, the destination is the same: freedom, peace, union with the divine. Among the many branches of Hinduism, there are varied visions of the afterlife. Some speak of Svarga, a celestial paradise ruled by Indra, where souls enjoy pleasures earned by good karma. But even this heaven is temporary. When merit runs out, the soul returns to earth. Others speak of Naraka, a realm of shadow where the soul may briefly suffer to burn away the weight of past wrongs. But even Naraka is not forever. There is always a path forward, because the soul cannot be harmed. It is beyond body, beyond pain. The Upanishads say the soul is unborn, eternal. It is not slain when the body is slain. So rest easy, gentle heart. Let go of fear. In this great journey, nothing is wasted. No effort forgotten, no prayer unheard when you die. You will be guided by light, by love, by your own deep remembering, and perhaps when you are ready, you will awaken in a new body, a new story, a new chance to move closer to truth. Or maybe you will not return. Maybe you will cross the threshold of time. Maybe you will dissolve into the still, golden silence from which all things come. And in that silence, you will know you were never separate. You were always divine. You were always home. So sleep now, sweet soul. Sleep like the Ganges flows. Sleep like incense rising. Sleep like the stars reciting mantras to the moon. And when you wake, know this. You are eternal. You are light. You are love in motion. And now, let us walk softly again into the quiet. Temples of Siddhartha's dream, where suffering is understood, and the end of sorrow begins with a single breath. We journey next into the compassionate stillness of Buddhism. The souls climb through karma into liberation, where every whisper leaves an imprint, where silence is sacred, and where the soul, covered in dust, seeks to rise like a lotus above the world. Let your breath grow quiet now, like the hush of a flame after prayer, like the gentle stillness of a temple at midnight. We are journeying inward toward a path of simplicity, of discipline, of deep and enduring peace. We enter the ancient, luminous world of Jainism, older than empires, as old as sorrow, and as timeless as the soul. Jainism is not loud. It does not rush. It does not demand. It waits. It watches. It whispers. And in that whisper, you will hear something precious. The soul is pure, radiant, unbound, but covered, layered in karmic dust, drawn in by every action, every word, every thought, not punished, but weighed down. The Jain path is about letting go of that weight, about climbing ever so slowly from bondage to bliss, from ignorance to freedom, from darkness into moksha. In Jainism, the soul is known as the jiva. It is eternal, never created, never destroyed. Each jiva is unique, individual, full of light, and destined for liberation. But it is entangled, trapped in a cycle called samsara, the same wheel, seen in Hinduism and Buddhism, but here painted with a different brush. Jains believe that karma is not metaphor, it is matter. Tiny, invisible particles that cling to the soul whenever we act with desire, anger, greed, or pride. Each unkind word, each careless step, draws karma toward the soul, as if the universe is watching not with eyes, but with balance, and so the soul becomes heavy. It sinks, forgetting its brightness, forgetting its freedom. It is born and reborn into human forms, into animals, insects, plants, even heavenly beings. Each form offers both pain and possibility, but the goal remains always the same: liberation, to rise, to free the soul from all karma, to become once again what we always were, untouched, limitless, blissful. The Tirthankaras, the great teachers of Jainism, show us how. There were 24 of them, each a soul who reached liberation and returned to guide others across the river of rebirth. The last and most beloved was Mahavira, the great ascetic. the silent teacher who lived over 2,500 years ago. He walked barefoot through forest, spoke only when needed, harmed not a single creature, not even the smallest insect. For the core of Jainism is ahimsa, nonviolence. Not just in action, but in breath, in thought, and intention. To hurt another being, even by accident, is to invite karma. So Jains walk gently, they speak with care. Many sweep the ground before each step, lest they tread on a tiny life. They eat only that which does not kill, no meat, no eggs. Not even root vegetables that end the life of the plant. Some fast, some meditate for hours, some take vows of silence. But always the aim is the same, to loosen the grip of karma, to let go of attachments, to climb higher on the great ladder of the soul. And what happens when one dies? The body falls away, but the jiva continues. There is no pause, no resting place. According to one's karma, the soul is immediately reborn into another body in another realm. There are 4 primary realms. The human world, where liberation is possible, a rare and precious birth. The animal and plant world, where the soul forgets, but still feels. The hell realms, not eternal, but full of suffering, where the soul experiences the pain it once caused. And the heavenly realms, where joy is great, but still impermanent. Even the gods must fall, but none of these are home. None are lasting. Only moksha is the soul's return to its natural, formless state, weightless, boundaryless, free from desire, pain, birth, and death. It is not a place, but a state of being. The liberated soul rises to the Siddhashila, the realm beyond the world, a shining crescent above the universe, where the free souls dwell in quiet bliss. They do not look down. They do not return. They are fulfilled, silent, infinite. But before that, there is life. And in life, there is ritual. When a Jain person dies, there is no mourning as in other faiths. There are no loud wails, no tears that beg the soul to stay. Instead, there is peace, acceptance, even joy. The body is treated with dignity. It is bathed, clothed in simple white. A mark of sandalwood placed upon the forehead. There may be quiet, prayers, recitations of sacred texts, or a reading from the Tattvartha Sutra, the foundational scripture of Jain philosophy. Sometimes there is Paryushan, an annual festival of forgiveness, where Jains seek to cleanse karma through fasting, confession, and prayer. It is during this time that the soul's journey feels most visible. But perhaps the most beautiful ritual is the practice of salakana. Not all undertake it. It is not suicide. It is not despair. It is a sacred vow taken at the end of life, when death is near and one is ready to let go. The person gives up food and water gradually, with full awareness and serenity, in a state of prayer and reflection. They die slowly, consciously, shedding both body and bondage. And as they pass, the community watches in reverence, not sorrow. For this is the highest act of detachment, a final offering, a last step on the ladder toward moksha. But not all must take this path. For every act of kindness, every moment of mindfulness, every breath taken without harm is a step upward. And so, Jainism becomes not just a religion, but a way of seeing, a way of living so lightly, so attentively, that the soul begins to remember what it truly is. A flame, a mirror, a spark of endless light, waiting only to rise. So rest now, dear listener. Let your own soul feel light, free from the worries of today. You are not this body. You are not this breath. You are a traveler passing through time and form, guided by truth, lifted by grace. Sleep as though you are rising up through the clouds, past the stars, into a realm beyond sound or sorrow. One day you will let go of all burdens, and in that letting go, you will find your wings. And now let us follow another sacred path, born from stillness and compassion, where the noble truths whisper and the middle way unfolds. Let us walk softly now, into the gentle, awakened breath of Buddhism. The return to the Tao in harmony with the great flow. The sage does not resist the current. She becomes the river. She lets go of form and drifts back into the nameless, where all things begin and all things return. Breathe now slowly. Let the weight of your day dissolve, as if it were a leaf in water, as if your thoughts were clouds, floating gently across a quiet sky. We are walking toward the mists of ancient China now, where cranes glide over still lakes, and bamboo sways with the breeze, never breaking, only bending. This is the world of Taoism, not a doctrine, but a dance. Not a command, but a current. It is not something to believe in, but something to feel deep in the bones, deep in the breath. The Tao or Tao means the way, not a road, not a destination, but the rhythm of the universe itself, the pulse beneath all things, the space between each star, the breath that moves through you and through the mountains alike. In Taoism, there is no fear of death, because death is just a turning, a return. To be born is to come forth. To die is to return. Tao Te Ching, you see, everything flows in cycles. The moon waxes and wanes. The tides rise and fall. The seasons bloom and fade. And so do we. In Taoism, the soul is not something trapped in the body, nor is death a doorway to punishment or paradise. The soul, if we must call it that, is simply ki, life force, breath, energy. It moves in us, through us, between us. When the body dies, the ki disperses. It returns to the Tao, back into the great river, the nameless source of all. It is not loss, it is merging. Like a wave returning to the ocean, no longer separate, but never gone. So let your breath become the tide now. Inhale, exhale, as if you are flowing into the great mystery. In Taoism, there is no fixed description of the afterlife. There is no map of heavens or hells. Instead, there is stillness, simplicity, a deep trust in the natural order of things. The great sage Laozi once said, "The Tao is eternal. It has no name. It gives birth to heaven and earth. And just as we were born from it, we return to it." There are Taoist teachings that speak of the immortal spirit, called the Shen, a light that continues after the body is gone, rising into subtle realms, or moving gently into rebirth, depending on the soul's harmony with the Tao. But the Tao does not promise reward, nor does it threaten punishment. It simply invites balance. To live well is to live in accordance with the Tao, gently, humbly, without force. Not to conquer the world, but to flow with it. Not to control others, but to know yourself. To eat when hungry, to rest when tired. To speak only when the words are like rain on thirsty soil. In death, as in life, Taoism asks only this: let go. Let go of striving. Let go of ego. Let go of the illusion that you are separate from the stream, because the Tao is always flowing, and to surrender to it is to become free. Some Taoist traditions speak of immortality, not of the body, but of spirit. Taoist alchemists spent lifetimes seeking to refine the inner elixir, not through potions, but through breath, meditation, stillness. Their aim was to cultivate the three treasures: Jing, the essence of life; Qi, the energy that flows through the body; Shen, the spirit, radiant and aware. By aligning these energies, it was believed one could dissolve into pure light. a spirit in tune with the Tao, free from rebirth, residing in the invisible realm of immortals. But not all Taoists seek this. Many simply live simply. They farm, they write poetry, they listen to water move over stone. They watch the world rise and fall without clinging to its forms. For in Taoism, form is temporary. Only the way endures. And so when someone dies in the Taoist tradition, the rituals are soft, gentle, unafraid. The body may be bathed and dressed in flowing robes. Incense is lit. Offerings of fruit and tea are placed by the altar. A spirit tablet is carved with the person's name. The living offer quiet prayers, not to command the dead, but to honor their return to the Tao. There may be music. There may be silence. The I Ching, the Book of Changes, might be consulted to understand the soul's transition, to read the lines between worlds. And then the world continues, not forgetting, but flowing onward, because death is not seen as an interruption. It is simply part of the current, a leaf falling from a tree, not to vanish, but to become the soil from which new life will grow. Some Taoists believe in reincarnation not as doctrine, but as possibility. Others believe that when one lives in complete alignment with the Tao, the need to return dissolves. The ego fades, the fear fades, and what remains is the vastness. So now let yourself float, like a feather on the river, like a sigh on the wind. You don't need to know where you're going. You don't need to resist the turning tide. Taoism teaches, those who flow as life flows know they need no other force. So close your eyes, let go of destination, let go of identity, let go of all that binds. There is no need to grasp, no need to strive. The Tao is holding you. It always has. You are a ripple on the water. You're the water itself. You're the sky above the stream, the moonlight caught in a drop. You are not apart from the world. You are the world, returning to itself. So sleep, beloved soul. Sleep like the mountain under fog. Sleep like a leaf finding its way to the lake. Sleep as though the Tao were breathing through you, because it is. And when you wake, perhaps you'll remember, you are not separate. You are not small. You are the way returning to the way, a silence so deep, even death bows in stillness. And now let us step quietly again into another temple, one carved not of stone, but of compassion, where suffering meets wisdom and the soul dissolves. Into stillness, we walk next, into the mindful moonlit path of Buddhism. Kami spirits in the gentle vale of Yomi, where the cherry blossoms fall like souls, where the ancestors drift through rice fields and rivers, and where even in death, nothing is truly lost, only transformed. The night feels different now, quieter, lighter, as though the very air is taken on the scent of sakura. You are walking softly now on moss-covered stones, past paper lanterns glowing warm in the dusk. This is Japan. Not the Japan of cities, but the Japan of mist, of shrine bells, of sacred groves where cedar trees hold secrets. This is the land of Shinto, a spiritual path not written in creeds, but lived through breath, ritual, and reverence. There is no single founder of Shinto, no single book, no strict doctrine. It flows like water, ancient, adapting, alive, and in Shinto there is no sharp divide between life and death. Only a veil, delicate, permeable, like the silk of a spiderweb glistening in the morning light. This veil separates our world from another, the quiet world of Yumi, the shadowed land of the dead. But first, we must understand the light before we step into the dark. In Shinto, all of life is filled with spirit. Everything, stone, river, tree, flame, is home to a kami. What is a kami, you might ask? It is not a god, not in the way we might imagine, but a sacred essence. A force of nature, a presence of spirit. Invisible but deeply felt, a kami can be a mountain, a waterfall, the wind in a pine tree, the soul of an ancestor, a fox that watches from the hill. There are millions of kami, some vast and cosmic, others tender and local. To live well in Shinto is to live in harmony with the kami, to honor them, to invite their blessing, to tread gently as though each step were heard by the sacred. And when a person dies, they do not simply vanish. They may become kami themselves. You see, in Shinto, death is not an ending. It is a change of presence, a transformation from flesh to spirit, but first, the journey. After death, the soul must cross into Yomi, sometimes called the land of gloom, not as a punishment, but as a quiet place where the dead reside. Yomi is not fiery. It is not cruel. It is still, soft, silent, subtle, like the shadow beneath a leaf. In early Shinto myth, Yomi is spoken of in the tale of Izanami and Izanagi, the divine creators of the islands of Japan. When Izanami dies giving birth to the fire god, she descends to Yomi. Her husband, Izanagi, unable to bear her absence, travels to the underworld to retrieve her. But in the shadowed halls, he sees that she is changed. Her body, once divine, has decayed. The purity of life has faded. Horrified, he flees and seals the entrance to Yomi with a boulder. From that moment on, the world of the living and the world of the dead are kept apart, but not in anger, in balance. It is a tale not of punishment, but of separation. And yet the dead are not truly far. They are remembered, revered, honored. Through ritual, in every home across Japan, you may find a small kamadana, a household shrine, and often, beside it, a butsudan, an altar for the ancestors. On it rest small wooden tablets inscribed with names, photos, incense, offerings of rice or tea, a gesture of love, a daily whisper to those who came before. Because even after death, the family bond continues. The spirits of the departed, called matama, are not feared, but cherished. They are not trapped in Yomi forever. Through purification rituals, they can become benevolent kami, protective, guiding, gentle. These rituals often take place in the first 49 days after death. It is believed the soul still lingers near the body during this time, and through ceremony and prayer, the living can help guide the spirit home. There is grief, but not despair. There is reverence, but not dread. Shinto teaches that in purity, Kigari clings to death, but this is not evil. Only imbalance, a natural shift that must be gently cleansed. And so, there are purification rites, mizagi, performed after funerals, to restore harmony to those who mourn. Water is used. Salt may be scattered. The breath becomes prayer. The body bows low, and with time, balance returns. Every summer in Japan, a most beautiful festival takes place called Obin. During Obin, it is believed the spirits of the ancestors return to visit their families. Lanterns are lit to guide their way. Graves are cleaned. Offerings are made. Dances are performed in soft circles, called bon odori, to welcome the dead, to remind them, you are not forgotten. And when the time comes, the spirits are gently sent back to the other world, with lanterns floated down rivers, into lakes and seas, their flickering lights drifting like stars returning to sky. It is not sad. It is not final. It is love moving in both directions, the living honoring the dead blessing the living. There is no fear in this exchange, only grace, only gratitude. And so in Shinto, the soul is not judged. It is not weighed. It is not sorted into heavens or hells. Instead, it continues, silently, softly, held in memory, carried in ritual, alive in every gust of wind and blooming branch. The dead become the mountains. They become the birds. They become the guardian kami of shrines tucked into hillsides and forest trails. They watch. They protect. They whisper through blossoms, through foxes, through falling snow. And what a beautiful thought, that your soul, when you leave this world, might become a river guardian, a tree spirit, a light in a shrine, a blessing left in the wake of your life. So breathe now, sweet one. Breathe as though your ancestors are listening, because they are. They are with you in every breath of wind, in every quiet night. Their presence is gentle, like the hush of petals falling. You're not alone. You never were. The veil is thin, and the spirits are kind. Let your eyes drift closed, as if you are resting beneath a cherry tree in spring, as the blossoms fall one by one onto the soft earth. Let the kami watch over you. Let the old stories cradle you. For in Shinto, there is no true goodbye, only the gentle return. To nature, to memory, to the sacred hush between one breath and the next. And now, let us follow the wind again, to the vast northern skies, where snow whispers on tundra and the soul dances with animals, dreams, and ice. Next, we travel into the spirit-rich world of Siberian shamanism, the rivers of the underworld and the fields of Elysium, where shadows sail across silver waters, where the soul crosses the veil with a coin beneath its tongue, and where the blessed rest in golden meadows, forever kissed by sunlight. That never fades. Let us begin gently. In a twilight of marble and myrtle, where time seems to pause and stories live in the hush of old stone. This is the ancient world of the Greeks, a world of poets and prophets, of heroes and gods, and of a shimmering veil that separates the living from the dead. Death, to the Greeks, was not an end, but a journey, not a punishment, but a passage. And the soul? It was called the psyche, a delicate butterfly in some old tales, fluttering free when breath leaves the lips. When a person died in ancient Greece, the world paused for reverence. The body was washed and anointed with fragrant oils, perhaps myrrh, perhaps olive, perhaps the scent of something sacred and remembered. Coins, often too, were placed beneath the tongue or over the eyes. Obols, to pay the ferryman. And here begins the journey, for in the realm beneath the earth, the underworld waited. Not dark in the way we imagine, but vast, mysterious, layered like a dream. This was Hades, not a place of fire, but of shadow and echo. A kingdom of stillness, ruled by the god Hades and his quiet queen Persephone. To reach it, the soul had to cross the river Styx, a black and whispering current, silent but deep, binding the realms of life and death. It was here the ferryman waited, Charon, cloaked in ash and patience, rowing his simple boat across. The mist, without a coin, the soul was left to wander the banks, lost between worlds. But with offering in place, Charon ferried the dead gently across, and beyond the river, a labyrinth of landscapes unfolded. There were 5 sacred rivers in the Greek underworld, each with its own voice, its own memory, its own lesson. Styx, the river of hatred, binding gods to oaths unbreakable. Even Zeus dared not swear falsely upon it. Lethe, the river of forgetting, To drain from Lethe was to forget all earthly pain, all joy, all memory. Souls would sit before. Reincarnation to return unburdened by who they had once been. Phlegethon, the river of fire, flowing not with flames of pain, but of purification, its waters crackling with divine change. Acheron, the river of sorrow. It wept for all who had passed too soon, its currents full of longing. And unfinished stories. Casidas, the river of wailing. Its icy waters carried the echoes of the unburied, the forgotten, the souls who had no place. And yet, not all was shadow. For after judgment, at the threefold court of Minos, Rhadamanthus and Aeacus, the soul will be gently guided. Those who had lived with honor, with balance, with a noble heart, they were led to the most beautiful corner of Hades, the fields of Elysium. Imagine it now. Golden grasses swaying in a breeze that never grows cold. Soft music like distant. Lyres playing on the wind. A sky always lit with the glow of eternal afternoon. This was Elysium, a paradise not of luxury, but of peace. Here walked the poets, the heroes, the wise, those who had touched life deeply and without cruelty. There was no struggle, no toil, only calm, only memory softened by time. And beyond, Elysium, for the rarest of souls, those who lived 3 virtuous lives, each purer than the last, there waited the isles of the blessed, far beyond even Hades' domain. A place where the air tasted of honey and sea salt, where nothing aged, and the soul could rest without ever needing to return. But for those whose hearts were heavy with cruelty or injustice, a different path awaited. They were sent to Tartarus, not eternal hell, but a deep abyss where they faced the mirror of their actions. Here, kings who betrayed their people, and tyrants who mocked the gods faced their own echoes. Sisyphus pushing his stone uphill. Tantalus, ever thirsty beside unreachable water. Not punished for eternity, but teaching the world of consequence and pride. Yet these were the exceptions. Most souls, neither blessed nor cursed, wandered the asphodel meadows, a quiet land of shadowed grass, where souls simply existed, not in pain, but not in bliss, not remembered, but not forsaken. They walked. They're like whispers, souls without stories. And perhaps that, too, was a kind of sleep. In Greek tradition, the living and the dead were not wholly apart. During certain sacred festivals like Anthesteria or Nicaea, the dead were welcomed back for brief moments. The doors were opened, tables were set, libations poured into the earth, so that the souls might taste again the sweetness of olives, the warmth of wine, the echo of laughter. And then, with blessings, they were gently sent back to their realm. Not forgotten, not feared, just loved, remembered. Even the gods themselves touched both worlds. Persephone, queen of the underworld, spent half the year below and half above, her footsteps marking the seasons. Her descent brought winter, her return spring, and so the Greeks saw death not as the end of light, but as part of the turning cycle, woven into the blooming and fading of all things. And isn't that comforting? To know that even goddesses return from the underworld. That death is not a vanishing, but a quiet rest. So now let yourself rest. Let your breath drift like a soul across the river. Let your body grow soft as myrcenic cloth. Let your spirit, featherlight, step gently into fields of dream. You're walking among olive trees now, among echoes and odes, among stars once, named for heroes among gods who whisper only in sleep. And if, in this dreaming, you should find yourself crossing one of those sacred rivers, may it be Lethe, the river of forgetting, May it cleanse your worry. May it carry away your pain. May it leave you as still and whole as the waters of Elysium. For you are not alone. The old myths are with you. The poets, the lyres, the flowers that never fade. So sleep now, precious soul, as though you too are a whisper crossing into myth. And next, we will step into another sacred story where the land is flat, the sky endless, and the dead sail west with the setting sun. We journey onward to the golden dreams of ancient Egypt. Valhalla, hell, and the echoes of ancestral halls. Beneath the northern lights, the dead do not disappear. They drink, they wait, they rest in halls of glory and frost, in realms of peace and shadow. Close your eyes now. Can you hear it? The low hum of wind over fjords? The creak of old wind ships beneath moonlight? The gentle whisper of snow falling on the bones of forgotten heroes? This is the land of the Norse, the ancient Northmen and Northwomen, where death was not an end, but a passage into legend. In Norse belief, life and death are part of a cycle, like the seasons, like the stars that return each winter. To die is not to vanish. It is to go home to the ancestors, to the gods, to the realms beyond. Let us begin where breath leaves the body. When a person dies, the soul, called the hugger or hammering different tailies, is gently unthreaded. From the flesh, sometimes it is carried by ravens, sometimes by unseen hands, and sometimes it walks its own path toward one of many afterlives. For the Norse did not speak of one heaven or one hell. No, their afterlife was as vast and varied as the landscapes they called home. Let us follow the wind now into the most famous of these halls. Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain Valhalla, a name like a song carved in stone. It means the Hall of the Chosen Slain, and it is ruled by Odin, the Allfather, wise and watchful with one eye that sees all. Valhalla is not a peaceful paradise. It is a hall of warriors. It shines with spears and gold. Its roof is made of shields, its walls of ancient spears, its benches endless. Here, those who died bravely in battle awaken once more, not as ghosts, but as honored guests. They are called the Einherjar, the glorious dead, handpicked by Valkyries, the shield maidens who ride between worlds. The Valkyries sweep across battlefields, choosing the bravest to ascend, not in sadness, but in celebration. In Valhalla, the fallen feast by night. They drink mead from the udders of a celestial goat. They eat the ever-reborn beast Shriminir, and by day they train. Once more, not in cruelty, but in preparation. For one day, when the final battle comes, Ragnarok, these warriors will ride again to fight alongside the gods. But not all who die go to Valhalla, and not all wish to. Some souls long for peace, for home, for rest among kin in quiet snow. Folkvanger, Freya's field gently now, we turn toward Freya, the goddess of beauty, love, and war. She too chooses the fallen, and half of those who die in battle do not go to Odin, but to her. They are welcomed into Folkvanger, the field of the people. Here it is said, the air is softer. There is joy and singing, and perhaps something more tender than the sharp clang of weapons. Freya's realm is less spoken of, but deeply loved. She is a goddess of many faces, and in death she offers a different kind of home, one not of war, but of remembrance, of family, of returning to something gentle. Hell, the realm of stillness, but what of those who do not die in battle? The farmers, the weavers, the children, the elders who pass in sleep. They are not forgotten. they too have a place. It is called hell, not fire, not punishment. Just hell. The land beneath the roots of the world tree, ruled by the goddess of the same name. Hel, daughter of Loki, is not cruel. She is quiet. Pale on one side, dark on the other, like twilight between worlds. Her realm is cold, but not unkind. There the dead live in calm, neither celebrated nor condemned. They wait. They watch. They remember. It is not a place of fear. Only stillness, and isn't there a kind of peace in that? A place where the soul can rest not for glory, but simply because its journey is done. The Norse funeral, when the Norse laid their dead to rest, they did so with honor. There might be a pyre of flames rising into the sky, carrying the soul in smoke and heat. Or a ship burial, the body placed in a longboat surrounded by tools, food, and treasures. Sometimes the boat was sent to sea, sometimes buried beneath earth or stone. Always the dead were given what they might need in the next world. A sword, a comb, a drinking horn, even a beloved animal. The belief was not just in destination, but in continuity, that the soul still needed, still walked, still watched. And the living spoke their names, sang their praises, told their stories by firelight, for to be remembered was to live again. Ancestral halls and honored names, the Norse believed that those who came before remained close. They lingered. In the earth, in the hearth, in the blood. To name a child after an ancestor was to invite their strength to return. To tell their stories was to keep them alive. In every family, there was a sense of lineage, a golden thread stretched across time. And in the halls of the gods, in Valhalla and Folkvanger, in Hell, the dead listened. They watched the living, and perhaps they smiled. The end and the beginning in the Norse mythos. Even the gods die. At Ragnarok, the sky will split. Wolves will devour the sun and moon. The sea will rise. The gods will fall. And the world will burn, but not forever. For from the ashes, a new world will bloom. Green, silent, pure, 2 humans will survive. Lith and Lifracer, hiding in the wood of life, and they will begin again. And perhaps the souls of the dead will return with them, not to the old world, but to a better one. A world born not of battle, but of balance. So rest now, gentle listener. Close your eyes and imagine snow falling on an ancient longhouse. Imagine the crackle of fire, the scent of pine, the sound of voices telling stories long into the night. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. The ancestors walk beside you. The gods are watching from the far stars, and your name, whispered by those who love you, will echo always in the halls beyond. Sleep as though you're held in the arms of old myths, wrapped in wolf fur, cradled in cloud, and may your dreams take you to golden fields, to feasting halls, to forests where your soul can wander without fear. The journey is not done, only changing. Just as breath becomes breeze and snow becomes stream, you too will rise again. Somewhere, in this life or the next. And now softly let us travel once more to the banks of the Nile, where the soul meets the feather and the heart is weighed beneath the gaze of ancient gods. The other world and the soul's winding path, beyond the veil of oak and ash, there lies a land where souls are songs, where death is not an end, but a return to wonder, to the realm where magic breathes. Let us begin in the softness of twilight, where the last light touches the tops of hills, and the wind carries the smell of rain and heather. Here in the old Celtic lands, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Brittany, the world is alive with spirit. Not just the stars or the sky, But the stones, the streams, the trees that watch in silence, in Celtic spirituality, everything has soul. And nothing ever truly ends. Death in these ancient beliefs was not something to be feared. It was a return, a turning of the great circle, a passage through mist to a world just out of sight. The Celts called it the otherworld, the veil between worlds, the veil. Between the living and the dead was never far. It rippled in the standing stones, in sacred wells, in the hollows of hawthorn trees. On certain nights, Samhain, Beltane, when the stars aligned just so, that veil grew thin. And in those quiet hours, you could almost hear it, the songs of the departed, the laughter of old gods, the soft footfalls of those who walked before you. To die in the Celtic view was simply to cross through that veil, not to vanish, but to arrive. The otherworld, a land of eternal beauty, the otherworld has many names. In Ireland, it might be called Tir na Nog, the land of youth. In Wales and Wain, the deep place, soft and shadowed. It is not beneath the earth, nor high in the heavens, but beside us, always near, always shimmering just beyond the edge of vision. In the other world, there is no sickness, no aging. Number, sorrow. Time flows differently there, slow as honey, gentle as the tide. It is a land of green meadows and silver trees, of glowing flowers and eternal feasts. A place where the soul may rest or roam, or dance with fine ancestors under moonlight. Some stories say it lies across the sea on islands hidden by enchantment. Others say it can be entered through a cave, a mound, a ring of mushrooms in the forest. But all stories agree. Those who go there are not lost. They're home. The soul's journey, the soul, when it leaves the body, is not alone. It may be guided by spirits, called psychopomps in later lore, but in Celtic tradition, often seen as animals. A stag, white and glowing, a crow, black as midnight, a wolf, silent and sure. They walk with the soul, leading it gently from this life into the next dream. Some souls remain close for a while, lingering in familiar places, watching over loved ones, waiting for the seasons to shift. Others move quickly, as if the other world is calling them by name. The Celts believe that the soul might be reborn, living many lives, gathering wisdom, learning and unlearning. Like a spiral, always returning, but never the same. The Druidic idea of anamnesis remembrance suggests that deep within, we carry the memory of all we have been. And in the other world, perhaps we remember it all. Ritual and reverence death was marked not by sorrow alone, but by reverence. A candle might be lit, a harp might be played, a story shared by firelight, as food and drink were left for the journey ahead. Funerals were not just farewells. They were thresholds. The body was often placed in the earth, sometimes beneath a cairn or mound, wrapped in cloth, or surrounded by simple treasures, a dagger, a bowl, a necklace of stone, for it was believed the dead had needs still. They walked, they dreamed, they listened, and so the living would speak to them, especially during festivals like Samhain, when the dead returned for a time, to sit beside the hearth and taste the sweetness of memory. Food was left on windowsills. Chairs were set for unseen guests. Candles were lit to guide their way. And when the night passed, they were gently sent back with blessings, not goodbye. Just until next time. The ancestral bond in Celtic tradition, the ancestors were ever present. Not far away in a distant paradise, but close. Here, listening. Their strength flowed through your blood. Their stories echoed in your name. To honor them was not duty, it was love. They were not worshipped as gods, but remembered as guardians. Their wisdom was consulted, their courage borrowed. And when a person stood in a circle of stone or walked the sacred hills at dawn, they might feel it, a hand on the shoulder, a whisper in the heart. You are not alone. The sacred circle, the Celtic view of life and death, was not linear. It did not begin and end. It turned and turned again. Like the seasons, like the moon, like the spiral patterns etched into ancient stones, ever moving inward and outward. To be born was to emerge from the other world. To die was to return, over and over, refined, softened, awakened, and so death was not feared. It was respected, like the hush before snowfall, like the last note of a song, beautiful, final, and yet not. Dreams and visitations, even today, in quiet places, those attuned to the old ways say the dead still visit. They come in dreams, not with words, but with feeling, with presence. Sometimes they appear as butterflies, sometimes in the eyes of a fox, sometimes as a warmth on the wind when all else is still. And when they come, they bring no fear, only peace, only that ancient knowing that love, once given, is never lost. It only changes form. So sleep now, dear soul, as if you are nestled in the heart of the green earth, wrapped in moss and song. Let the mists gather around you, soft, cool, forgiving. Let the forest cradle your dreams. Let the rivers sing your story. You are not drifting into darkness. You are walking the soul's winding path, back to the sacred woodlands, back to the golden otherworld where your spirit will be held in light. The ancestors are waiting. The trees remember your name. The veil opens softly, and beyond it, only peace. Sleep as the Druids once did, under stars that have never gone out. You are safe. You are sacred. And when morning comes, perhaps a part of you will still be there, in a land of youth and meadows and eternal returning. And now, hush. Let us follow the starlit spiral once more, this time to the deserts of spirit, to the timeless sands of ancient Egypt, where the heart is weighed and the soul journeys through the afterlife on golden boats.